So we'll see how this goes. All right, you ready? Here we go. Testing, testing. Today on Quality Time with Family Ties, we learn, hey, teacher's assistants, leave those your girlfriends alone. All right, whenever you're ready, Corey.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Quality Time with Family Ties. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Pepper. I am here along with Paul Packler from lovely New York City. How's the weather?
It's cold. It's really cold. The temperature just dropped, and now it's in the 30s.
It's wintertime, huh?
Yeah, it's Christmassy.
Yeah, we have actually a cold day today. It looks like it's around 60 degrees.
Oh,
Right.
that is cold for you, right?
It is, but it's morning. It's 9 a.m., so it's 60. It'll warm up a little bit to the 80s probably.
Oh, gosh. Oh, terrible.
I know.
We're talking about the weather because we're trying to vamp because Scott Jones is supposed to be here right now. We have no idea where he is.
He's missing in action, but he's got two small children, so anything could have happened.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I didn't even think to worry, Corey. Now I'm worried.
It's the Jew in me. All of a sudden, I'm like, okay, I'll joke around about it, but I'm a little worried about him.
Now, my Catholic guilt is now I feel really bad for making jokes. now I'm going to feel guilty.
But we hope that Scott and Carrie and Maisie and Henry are all good. Yeah.
Oh,
so
Scott just texted he's on his way, so we'll see what happens.
Oh, he'll be joining us then in just a moment or two.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Mm-hmm. Today's episode is Season 4, Episode 21, Teacher's Pet.
Yep, that's what it is.
We're split right down the middle on this episode, everybody.
I know. That's why it was so important that Scott show up, because we have no idea of what his opinion is.
Yeah, in a post-truth world, we have no idea whether this is a good episode or a bad episode.
We don't. We have two different opinions, and Scott will sort of split the difference with us and let us know. It's an episode with Ellen playing a large role, which I usually like when Ellen has a large role in an episode, and yet they don't make. I don't feel like they make the best use out of her in this episode.
No, they sort of shortchange her because well, I mean, we'll get to the plot of it, but she starts out being antagonized by Alex, and then she starts to fight back, but then we totally give up on following, because it seems like she's almost the protagonist of this episode, but then we totally forget about her, and it becomes about Alex trying to like break her.
And it's funny, you mentioned to me earlier, you said something about there being that you like the B plot in this, but I also feel that there's sort of kind of a C plot in this episode too. There's sort of a runner in this episode of a C plot.
Oh, what's the C? Oh, okay, so the A plot is Alex and Ellen.
Right.
The B plot is what we first start the episode with, is that Steven is sitting at the kitchen dinner table with Andy, and he's trying to get him to play put the rings around the ring toss game that I used to have as a small child.
Yep. And the C plot to me is the answering machine.
Oh yeah, there is the answering machine that shows up like in the second half of the first act.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't completely necessary because there's no payoff with the answering machine, I don't think.
No, but it's amazing. It's like, wow, we're really in the 80s now.
Yeah, everyone's very excited about the answering machine.
Yeah. Between that and Michael J. Fox's mullet, he's starting to mullet out there.
It is, and it's funny. I was watching last night, the CNN series that I never watch CNN anymore since the election, but
right.
On Saturdays they don't have news. The Tom Hanks series, the 80s, they have the 70s, the 80s. They have
they're up to the 80s now.
And they're in the 80s, and last night was the episode on television in the 80s. And they feature a segment on family ties and its meaning of how family ties fits into culturally what's happening in the United States during the 80s.
What did they say? What was their breakdown?
They covered ground that we have covered over and over again, having to do with what's happening culturally with Reagan and economics, and how Alex P. Keaton seems to embody the Ronald Reagan administration.
Yeah, yeah. And the mediocrity of popular culture in the 80s.
Yes, as it turns out.
Yeah, it really endemifies, or what, I don't even know what the word is. Yeah, I just had my 5-hour energy drink, so I'm a little behind the 8 ball right now.
They treat that answering machine. You probably don't. Did you ever do a production of Fiddler when you were a child?
I did. I was like 13 years old at the Civic Light Opera, and I played one of the yeshiva boys.
I had a feeling that you were in Fiddler. It reminds me of the scene in Fiddler when Muddle gets a sewing machine, and everyone in town gathers around the sewing machine like it's the most exotic thing in the world, and they gather around the answering machine like, oh, look, it's an answering machine with a cassette. And wow, that's exciting.
And doesn't the rabbi bless it? And he goes like, he says like, and then he's like, Singer.
Well,
hey guys.
Look who has rolled in.
I'm ready. I'm so sorry.
Scott, what happened?
I honestly.
Were you sleeping?
No, not sleeping. No.
No.
Kidding me? It's not 9:20.
Uh-oh. Oh my God! Now we lost him again.
Oh, here I am. I had in my head. I know you put Eastern Standard Time. I had Pacific Standard Time in my head.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
It's quite all right.
All right.
I think you'll find, Scott, that we didn't even rip you a new asshole during this first segment of the show.
We were really actually kind of worried about you.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, though. Not really like
we were both feeling guilty that we were.
Yeah, like maybe something bad happened, but yeah. All right, guys.
Mm-hmm. Well, we really haven't gotten very far. We've just discussed what the A plot, the B plot, and the C plot is in this thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we started with the ring toss, and Steven is concerned that Andy is too stupid at 11 months old that he can't play with the ring toss.
I love the way you put it. Andy is too stupid.
Getting up. Right. I'm in a good place. I'm so fucking this up.
Why? What'd you do, Scott? What's going on?
I thought I went. I thought I lost you guys.
Okay. Oh, man, you're like a whirlwind right now, Scott.
Welcome to parenting. Okay, so at 11 years old, Andy is too stupid for the ring toss.
11 months. 11 months.
Yeah. Even though it says. Wait,
Scott, slow down. If Andy were 11 years old, he would be too stupid. That would be.
Don't say it.
Yeah. If you were 11 years old and couldn't do the ring toss, he would be, what's his name? Baron Trump. He would be.
Yeah. Von Trump, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We could jump in and feel free to rip me a new asshole if you want.
So it appears as though Alex has an answering machine because he has a new job at Leland. He is the teaching assistant for a freshman economics class that just so happens through a scheduling quirk to include Alex's girlfriend, Ellen, in Alex's class.
Right.
Yeah. Now, what we know about teaching assistants is that it's in the title. They assist teachers.
It's in the title, isn't it?
Yeah. They don't usually get their own course load.
No. They're not an actual teacher.
They cut the scene where Alex created the syllabi for the class.
Right. Let's not forget either that Alex is a sophomore and now he's teaching freshmen.
Yes.
My experience at university was that it was the graduate students who were teaching assistants, or at the very least, seniors were teaching assistants.
At the very least. Yeah, it's teachers. Yeah, it's a graduate program, so that you need teaching hours to do this.
Mm-hmm. Here, wait, hold off. Pause.
Hold up.
Yeah.
Yes, bud. Real quick.
Paul, he wants to see you.
You have a request.
Henry!
Say hi.
How's it going, Henry?
Say hi. Can you say hi to Corey?
And Corey too. How are you doing?
Hi,
Say hi.
Hi,
Can you say hi to Corey? Okay.
Come on, we gotta fill everybody in with Henry's love affair with
Yeah,
Paul.
this is probably the most. Yeah, this is yes. Yes.
Yeah. This is
So over the days, yeah, yeah, like, Paul visited my place, and my 4-year-old Henry loves Paul.
Mhm.
I'm so cool.
Paul.
And Paul has such a kinship with young people, doesn't he?
Young, yeah. He, for some reason, Paul, they automatically like you. I don't know if it's you're because you're small and young looking.
Yeah, that's one. Two, I'm completely incapable of taking care of myself, and they can empathize with that.
They're like, Henry was like, Paul really needs somebody. And I appreciate your political banter back and forth. And
that's three. They also really, really enjoy discussing progressive politics.
Exactly. That's what every 4-year-old wants to discuss.
Exactly. Getting back, let's just say this, that teaching assistants, so usually they're the ones that are grading papers for the professor. They're helping out, taking notes or answering or meeting with people to tutor them outside of class. Like, that's what a teaching assistant does. Right. Not to toot my own horn, I was a teaching assistant, so I'm pretty great.
Yeah.
I just really wanted to say that. Yeah. That's all. I just really wanted to let everybody know. Oh, this is falling apart.
What class were you a teaching assistant in?
I ran and was a teaching assistant for the voice and speech department. So we had a voice and speech lab where all members of the theater major department could come, and we would tutor them in accent reduction, in dialect, and just general voice and speech stuff. And so then I would also, like, twice a week go to sophomore classes and help teachers with the sophomores. So
yeah. Now, what were your duties, Paul? What were the things you had to do?
Everything you want to infer from that, Corey.
I already have. Yep. I have my own fantasy life, just as I live vicariously through your youth.
What were you going to say, Scott?
Did you make house calls?
I think Corey
those sophomores, by the way.
House calls?
Yeah, did you make house calls?
We did. I would do a lot of chakra work in house calls, so we would work the full length of the body from top to bottom.
Does Point Park University have a campus, a lovely campus?
Technically, yes. It's not beautiful, but it was 3 buildings in the city.
Is Point Park University in downtown Pittsburgh?
Yes. So you have the dorms and the classroom all downtown, and then we have this theater that was like 150 years old that was in Oakland, which is sort of like a bus ride, away from downtown Pittsburgh.
Wow. So when you go to Point Park, it's like the students at NYU who they get more of a city experience than a campus experience.
Absolutely. It was very much just a thing of, like, you're living in the city and you're running around, and there's no quads, there's no campus really. It's just.
But that's cool for a kid who grew up in suburbia outside of the city to actually go and live. I mean, you spent your youth going into Pittsburgh, going into the city, like I did going into New York. So living in Pittsburgh for 4 years was different from living at home during high school.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. I never knew that you were a teacher assistant, Paul.
Yeah. So it's all that voice and speech that I love.
Was it was the voice training? Was it a specific base training? Was it like Linklater or Lesak or anything in particular?
It was a lot of everything. It was like Alexander. We did something like we had a woman come in who headed up the department that started doing this thing called Fitzmaurice, where you did tremoring, and that was insane and completely ineffective. But yeah, it was just like everything. It was kind of a melange of different teaching styles, and then you use what works for you.
If you can sneak the word melange back into the show later on as a callback, I'd be very appreciative.
All right, I will. You know what it reminds me of? Every time you say the word montage, I love how you say that.
Montage.
Yeah.
A montage.
So here we are stuck. I'm trying to pull us back to the show again. We're stuck in the first scene in the kitchen with Ellen, and someone says something's not fair. Who says something's not fair? I have the words, it's not fair.
I don't know.
It's Alex because no, I think I know what you're talking about, Corey. It's Alex because Ellen's sure decision of, hey, I just need to switch out of your class.
Oh, that's it.
Mm-hmm. What's crazy about this is the fact that we know that Alex is a dance major. Why is she taking an Econ 101 in the first place?
That's a good question. That's a good question of logic. I just don't understand it.
Yeah. I mean, we all had to take those 101 academic courses, you know, no matter when you're an arts major of any kind, you have to take sort of a liberal arts thing, but it would never get so intense as it's not like you're doing calculus.
And if it was economics, it would be something in the social sciences department. So it could be an anthropology, a sociology, a poli-sci. Why would you go for economics? Economics is very complex and involves that mathy element that I hated in economics.
Did you ever hear that one Patton Oswalt routine where he talks about going to take class in college where it was called Physics for Poets?
Yes.
I took a class in college that was required. It was part of my requirement for a math class, and it was a class that was right on the cusp of two departments. It was both a math class and a history class, and it could work for either one of your history or math requirements. A class entitled "The History of Math."
Oh wow!
In which calculators were not required. There was never any math in a math class. It was just about the history of math.
That's amazing. Was it? I think that might be actually kind of interesting.
Wasn't a terrible class. It just wasn't that awful. And the teacher knew that it was all art students doing their math requirement. So he just sort of pitched it that way. It was very copacetic, very easy. One paper, midterm, final, that's it. I'll give you everything you need to know. Oh, Scott! Did Scott leave us and now he's back again?
Scott,
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm back.
So yeah,
my reception's horrible. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. We got it all taken care of. Don't even worry about it. But where did we leave off? Is this?
We're at the end of scene one.
We're doing it, guys. This is
we.
We're at the end of scene one, and we're just about to segue right into scene two, which takes place in the lecture hall on Alex's first day as his teacher's assistant.
Now, I'm so glad that they brought this set back. This is from the beginning of season 4, where he is taking that history class that he gets messed up about. So,
Ellen raises her hand to answer a question that Mr. Keaton asks, and they pull the shtick that they don't know each other. What's your name? What's your last name? It's the audience loved it.
Yeah, they really drilled it right into the ground. Oh, and we also have to say up front is that the whole premise is that Ellen is concerned that Alex is going to praise her or give her too much positive attention being his girlfriend. When it turns out in this scene, we find out that it's going to be quite turned on its head.
That's correct.
Whoa.
So Alex is being a complete jerk off to her. But go ahead, Scott.
He's being I was gonna say before Ellen even raises her hand, he's being a complete jerk off.
Yeah.
Like he's so condescending to the class. He writes it, he does that teacher thing of just quickly scrawling your name on the board and underlining it, and then he goes, "Sir." Like, see where this is going.
Well, that's why I wrote
down.
I wrote down the words. Alex's ego is out of control, and that when they do that with the show, when they let Alex's ego start to get out of control, it just sort of, that's where I start to feel, okay, we know he's a borderline sociopath, but don't you want to hide that a little bit, Alex? It's not so cool to just announce it. He wears it on his sleeve. What a jerk he is.
Yeah. I can't even imagine sitting in that class and being one of the students and witnessing this and being like, I'm going to transfer.
Well,
exactly.
What he does is he insults them for 3 minutes and then he lets the whole class go. That was class.
Yeah.
This whole scene is
that's him teaching.
Insult you for 3 minutes. I'm going to talk to Ellen, insult you for 3 minutes, and then let everybody go because you're all incompetent.
Yeah, and he wants them to write a 5-page paper on the first chapter.
Right, without teaching anything about it.
Right, just read it.
Read it and do it yourself.
Now you go to college. Even I would imagine, like we all went to artsy fartsy nonsense college, right?
Yes.
I would imagine if you went to an Ivy League school or whatever, that ultimately the first day of class is primarily getting to know each other and going through the syllabus and stuff like that. He asks them immediately what causes inflation, and then gets pissed off when they don't know. I don't think that's even in the headiest of classes is something of how a class would be run.
And let's not. This is economics 101, meaning you don't know you really can go in and not know anything about economics. This is to start teaching you the basis of economics.
Exactly.
Completely understandable why no one would know anything about this.
Yeah.
But Corey, you mentioned something like we've talked a lot about Alex's narcissism. And for me, this episode really crossed the line of you have your star into completely unlikable. He's just so, for me, he was just likable in this episode. And it really is hard to watch when you have Ellen, who is extremely likable, extremely nice. So if your star is like someone you don't want to watch, it's really hard to get through the episode.
So, Paul, I think we have our answer to the question that we posed earlier in this episode. How does Scott feel about this episode? Because Paul and I made it very clear that Paul liked this episode, and I thought it was a hunk of duty.
Yeah. All right. I guess I lost. It's fine. I'll take it.
I have in big block letters written on my page, Scott, the question, why doesn't she break up with this asshole?
Yes, I was going to wait to get to that, but at this point, I'm like, why is Ellen with Alex? That's what this episode did to me. I was like, now I'm really wondering.
Asshole. Absolutely.
I actually am kind of happy now for Ellen to break up with Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I never thought of it that way, but it's totally true. I really wonder when that episode comes up, the big, when she ends it and moves to Paris or whatever, I wonder if they'll bring up how much of an asshole he was.
Well, on top of me moving.
I asked you not to call my father. You call my father.
Yeah.
You gave me a bad grade in our class. You were a jerk at my dance class.
Oh, I forgot about the dance class. Right. Oh my God.
For me, up until this episode, yes, Alex's narcissism is out of control, but there at least is the slightest bit of good intention. The slightest, yes, it's mainly for maybe something good will come out of this episode, though. He's just being an asshole.
Yeah, it's totally true. I mean, I can't imagine why they didn't, the writers, immediately follow the scene in the classroom with like a fight between Alex and Ellen. Ultimately, they're just kind of like, she's like, well, you were kind of mean. And he's like, yeah, no, but it's all right. And that's it. It would be a much bigger scene between the two of them of what the hell just happened.
Mm-hmm.
We
segue from them arguing in the classroom and Alex clearly treating Ellen poorly. We go back to the home and we go back to what I consider the B plot. Mallory is now dealing with the phone machine when we go back. So she's got a little bit with the phone machine. What she did, she did something, she recorded something about Alex B. Keaton. Is that what she did?
Right, yes, because in the first act, when Alex plugs in the machine, he plays it, and the outgoing message is, something that he's created where it's like, this is Alex B. Keaton's house, and the in-house staff will take care of any calls that you may have. So now she and Jennifer have... Yeah, the fanfare, yeah. She and Mallory and Jennifer have re-recorded it, making fun of Alex.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to point out that Jennifer is wearing maybe the ugliest sweater ever made.
Yeah.
She has it's a sweater covered in multicolor elephants that look like heffalumps from Winnie the Pooh. And it's repulsive. It's repulsive.
I love that you worked in heffalumps.
Yeah, yeah. It was a melange of elephants. A melange of multicolored elephants.
Yay! Yeah. They have this recording. And
in this scene,
Alex,
guys, is this where we continue the B plot of Stephen trying to get Andy into preschool?
Yes, he has brochures.
Yeah, the brochures. Yes, the brochures, and Stephen justifies it by saying, "I didn't order them. Andy insisted."
Right. And
11 months. Whereas Stephen, if your toddler, if your 11 is insisting on brochures for preschool, I think you're okay educational wise at this point. Forget the toy.
That's a very good point. Now he's gone too far in the other direction. He overcorrected.
Yeah, there was a Flowers from Algernon sequence that we missed out on, where Andy suddenly got extremely smart.
That would be amazing.
Alex refers to himself in this next little scene when he's talking about marking Ellen's paper. He refers to himself as an experienced teacher, which I believe we've had 2 days of teaching assistant.
Yeah, this is his first class he's ever taught before.
And it's been 2 days.
Right.
And if you're an experienced
what's that, Scott?
And he only taught 10 minutes of the first class.
Right.
He let everyone else go.
I get in trouble in my school if I let out students 5 minutes early. And I don't mean trouble. They send out memos constantly that they're paying for 2 hours and 45 minutes of instruction, and we expect for you to give them 2 hours and 45 minutes of instruction. And he said, even if you're finished with your instruction, hold them in the damn classroom until the time comes for letting them go.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get that. I get
that too. It's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
He's marks on paper and he gives her a C- and tells Ellen that a C is an average grade. So Ellen realizes, so my paper is slightly below average.
And we have to assume that this paper that they've written is that review of the first chapter. How can you write a bad review of a chapter?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's dumb. It's dumb.
Yeah. Here's honestly what I was hoping would happen is that Alex realizes Ellen isn't good in economics. Her forte. Feels personally threatened by that. Girl isn't good in economics and feels pressure to make her maybe like a My Fair Lady kind of thing to make her good at economics. Yeah. Instead, it's I'm gonna be hard on you because you're my girlfriend and I don't want to show any,
you know what, Scott?
Which is kind of boring.
You totally broke up that entire time. I have no idea what the fuck you just said.
I don't know, Paul. Did you hear? On my end, Susanna's in the kitchen, and when Scott's audio went out, she filled in the words. So I think I know what he said because she's dubbing.
Thank you, Susanna.
But let me see if I can guess what you were saying. Is that it would have been a better plot to do the My Fair Lady plot, in as much as that when she sits down, instead of having being a story about him being a jerk and then her responding, it would have been a thing of like, she's a dancer, she doesn't understand economics, and then they could find common ground. Mm-hmm. It would have been a better story, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I agree.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly.
I totally agree. But I'll say this, and this is one of the reasons that I thought it was a good episode, or at least like a fine episode, was that they set up in the first act a problem, that they're concerned that he's going to be too nice to her. And then they follow it the other way, and he's too mean to her. And then they follow it from that she's now going to be too mean to him. And then it continues, and it just builds on top of each other. Like, it keeps subverting expectations. And I thought that was
okay.
Episode. It followed like the logic of a sketch comedy logic, or an improv logic or something. So that's why I thought the show was a good episode, but it's not the most enjoyable thing to watch.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think, and that could have been done. Made Alex nicer about it.
Yes.
That.
Right.
Where he feels more obligated to have to be a good teacher, even if it means giving my girlfriend a bad grade, but still trying
to do the right thing.
Yeah. Instead, he's just, I'm automatically going to be an asshole to prove a point.
Yeah. And there's no real logic. We never find out why he does that. So.
Yes.
So now what? Because I don't have any notes. I'm just flying blind.
I don't know, Scott. Did you know that Paul's not taking any notes on this episode?
What?
Yeah, the dog ate my homework, Mr. Keaton.
So Ellen.
I just watched the episode.
Ellen finds out she gets a C-. She's angry. What is the remark about, why don't you go dancing? Why don't you go take some more dance classes? He makes some derogatory comment about dancing. And he treats her poorly and realizes that I have a problem. My problem is Ellen. She's the problem.
Right.
And that's how the act sort of ends, with the realization that Ellen is a problem. This is an issue for him.
Now, does this happen when she comes in and is being a bad student, or is that in Act 2?
No, this is at the end of Act 1.
Okay, so yeah, so what happens is we're in Alex's class. He's handing back all the papers that everyone had written, and then all of a sudden, the camera goes to the door. It opens, and what's her name? Sandra Dee from Grease. We see the boots. She's smoking a cigarette.
Bum, 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 bum.
And so Ellen comes in dressed to the nines, like a greaser chick or something.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like chewing gum. Yeah, all of a sudden she becomes like one of the sweat hogs. And she sits down and she's giving all kinds of guff, and she's making jokes, and she's playing with her balls and all kinds of stuff.
She's playing with her balls.
So.
Yeah, and this infuriates Alex.
Yeah.
And he calls her up, and they argue, and he even says, "Sit back in your seat."
Yeah. And this is what was making me aggravated, that like what you guys are saying, that up until now Alex has been a jerk. And so we've been following the most sympathetic character, which is Ellen. Now Ellen is trying to fight back, and it seems like the writers and creators of the show are trying to make us now side with Alex because he's the voice of authority, and I think that's really problematic.
You are correct. I agree with you. That's why I wrote down a couple of times that Alex has determined, and I think they almost put those words in his mouth.
There's some banging happening. Did you hear that banging?
Yeah. That's not on my end.
Do you hear that? It
could be my paper.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just start again.
I think the writers are intent upon making it clear that Ellen is at fault, even though everything they're showing us, they're telling us Ellen is at fault. They're showing us Alex is at fault because they want the power shift to change, like you said, Paul. They're constantly wanting it to change. It doesn't because of what they're writing. It only does because of what they're saying.
Yeah, it's like they're putting their thumb on the scale. What we're watching happen is that Alex is a jerk. And then all of a sudden, the writers are putting their thumb on the scale and making it seem like, no, they're both at fault. No.
Right. Yeah, it's even. Yeah. No, it's not. That's not the way it is. Alex is being a jerk. He's being too harsh. He's embarrassing her in front of the class. He's calling unnecessary attention to himself as a teacher. He's not teaching the class. Yeah. He's just having a relationship with Ellen in front of everybody. It's wrong on so many different levels, and that's why it's not based in reality in some way that I can go, okay, it's pretty even. It's not even, but they're telling us it is.
Right, and that's really weird. But on that note, let's take a break, and we'll be right back. And we're back. So where are we? Because I have no idea.
We are, I believe, we are back in the kitchen. Alex walks in, and he is basically saying he's wondering if Ellen has called. And Steven says, no, but you get the usual amount of death threats from your students.
Different time.
Different time. Very different time.
I don't know which is more dated, the answering machine or death threats.
Yeah, and so it's one of those moments where Alex talks to Elise and Steven about, hey, Elle and I are having this difficulty, and they're like, well, you have to work out a compromise, And they mention how Steven wants Andy to go to preschool. Elise says no, he's too young, and then they eventually agree that no, Andy's not going to preschool.
So what's the compromise, Scott?
Like, well, how is that a compromise? And Steven says, I get to keep the brochures.
I like that joke. That's a good joke, right?
It works.
Oh, Corey gave a look that could kill.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Where are we, in the second scene?
Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're in the second scene of this, right? The kitchen scene now. We're back with the answering machine. And then Alex goes off unnecessarily on Nick because Mallory makes some sort of analogy about Nick teaching. And and then Alex unnecessarily just goes savages Nick like he's what a moron Nick is to Alex.
Yeah. It was so out of nowhere. Yeah,
especially for an episode that Nick's not even in. He's not even around to irritate Alex.
No, it's just free-floating hostility. Because what happens is Mallory guesses exactly what the power dynamic and the problem between Alex and Ellen is, and he's like, how did you guess that, Mallory? And she's like, well, I just imagined what it would be like if I were in a class that Nick was teaching. And then he just, like you said, Corey, he just savages both of them.
It was after her. Like, what an idiot Nick is. He's a moron. He's not anything close to what I am. It's like, relax, Alex. Okay, no one's threatening you. I wrote down also, for some reason, Alex also never sees himself at fault. There's never even an opening, a possibility for him to think, maybe I screwed up. Maybe I did something wrong. Very, very much like perhaps our president-elect, where there's never an apology.
Think?
Yeah.
Well, and you kind of going along with that, how obvious everything is. I mean, we just had a joke of students are sending him death threats. Everyone in the class hates him, and yet he still thinks he is doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
Yeah, now that you're saying that out loud, the final scene of the show, it really comes into stark relief when Ellen lies to the big boss professor, how much everyone has learned from Alex.
It's like, what the hell? Like, she sincerely says, "People, we've really learned a lot from Alex." Oh, he hasn't taught you shit.
Yeah, I didn't even think of it until just now, but my God, that's really true.
He's a horrible, horrible teacher. One of his field trips was to a bank. That is not going to teach you anything about economics.
Yeah. Oh, I do love, there was one moment where there was like a toss-off joke about what to do when an ATM runs out of money.
Yes.
Because ATMs were brand new back then. I thought that was cute.
At the final scene with them in the lecture hall, and they come up with the idea of, Alex says, well, I can take it to the head professor, have him review Ellen's paper and make his final decision, and that would be fair. But if I do that, I'll get in trouble because I'm not supposed to date students.
Right. And so, yeah, we get to that scene, and then the class lets out, and they're waiting for the arbitrating professor guy, and Alex and Ellen make up. It's a very much like, how are you doing? I miss you. I'm sorry. I should have worked harder on my paper. I shouldn't have been a jerk as a teacher. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, I felt as though, very similar to the episode with her dad, I felt as though she just comes in and lets him off the hook.
Yeah. Yes. I was like, Ellen, you didn't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm. Like, we get to that point where it's like, well, Alex is the star of our show. We don't want to leave everyone pissed off at Alex. So if Ellen loves him, we love him. So just go in and forgive him, and that's it.
Yeah, it's true. Because, in the scene, she's the one that starts the conversation. She's the one that starts apologizing. And it's like, I don't necessarily think that would have been what she should or would have done.
Because her first apology is, reading it over again, I could have done better.
Right.
You don't need to Yeah, it annoyed me. Yeah.
That's what I thought. I wrote down the word. I thought it was ridiculous that she apologized to him.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so they hug. They hug it out, and they're in their embrace when Professor Spanos comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that this
I did like Professor Spanos.
I thought he was great. I thought he was really funny.
Yeah.
What did you think, Corey? Did you like him?
I did like him. I thought he was a good character actor performance. I thought it was fine. Especially even his tagline about his wife, I thought was fun. It was all right. She just let him off the hook, and then Spanos catches them hugging, and that's pretty much the end of the episode, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. He just says, yep, you should have worked harder on the paper. Alex, you should be nicer. And then that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
So is he going to continue to be able to teach? Resolved.
Yeah, they don't resolve that at all.
It's weird. Because that was the big crux for Alex, is that if I do this, I'm going to lose my position. And then nothing comes of that.
No.
It would have been nice. It's like, okay, but I can't let you teach anymore. Vice that, so we can be with Ellen. But yeah, it's like the writers wanted their cake and eat it too. They didn't want to make any sacrifices for reality in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that was it. Case closed. You guys have won me over. What's happened is you've won me over. I enjoyed watching.
Did we win?
You made a compelling case.
It's already a satisfying morning for me then. It's going to be downhill from here. This is a good day.
Downhill from here. Well, guys, I'm sorry for all the chaos and coming in late today.
No, it's fine. It'll give Bryant something to edit.
I don't. Maybe don't give him enough already. I think we should say I do want to thank Brian for our clip show. He did an amazing job for our clip show episode where we were all together.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys.
Did you pull it up already, Scott, or no?
I got it right.
Okay.
Okay, because I was going to say, Corey.
Rate and review our. I got it.
Okay.
review our show on iTunes. For questions and comments, email us at qualitytimewithfamilyties@gmail.com. And be sure to follow us on Twitter at QTWFT for updates. You can also follow us, each of us, I'm at Follow Jones.
I'm at Paul Packler.
I'm at Corpep.
And be sure to like our Facebook. We'd like to thank our host and producer, Barbara Dillon at Fanbase Press. Fanbase Press is a comic book publisher and an online community supporting other creators and fans through daily reviews, interviews, and podcasts that span the pop culture spectrum. Be sure to look at everything that they do at fanbasepress.com. We also like to thank Perry Adams, who beautifully performs the Family Ties theme song Without Us. Check out Perry's music at perryadams.com. Also, Brian Dillon, who created our fantastic drawing and artwork, as well as edits our show. He'll have fun with this one. Brian is the president and co-founder of Fanbase Press, and follow him on Twitter at Comic Book Slayer. And lastly, Sean Foster, Fanbase Press's graphic designer, for designing our logo. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.